Hello, my name is Abby and I'm the Talking Book Librarian. Thank you for joining us for our book talk series. These videos will be recorded and out on the Indiana State Library's YouTube channel, as well as the Talking Book Facebook page. The purpose of these book talks is to provide book ideas for book clubs and to include questions for you to answer for yourself or in a book club setting. These videos will remain online in perpetuity, so you can decide to read these books whenever you'd like. If you are interested in this book or any of the others, give the Talking Book employees a call at 800-622-4970. Feel free to pause this video at any time to answer any of the questions. The book we will be discussing today is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. We have these books available in large print, DB, and Braille. The beloved American classic about a young girl's coming of age at the turn of the century, Betty Smith's A Tree Grows in Brooklyn is a poignant and moving tale filled with compassion and cruelty, laughter and heartache, crowded with life and people and incident. The story of a young, sensitive, and idealistic Francie Nolan and her bittersweet formative years in the slums of Williamsburg has enchanted and inspired millions of readers for more than 60 years. By turns overwhelming, sublime, heartbreaking, and uplifting, the daily experiences of the unforgettable Nolans are a raw with honesty and tenderly threaded with family connectedness in a world of literary art that brilliantly captures a unique time and place, as well as an incredibly rich moment of the universal experience. And that's kind of an overview of what the book is about. Next, we will go and talk a little bit about the author. And that's a picture of her. I think it's a great picture. About Betty Smith, she was born in Brooklyn to German immigrants. She grew up poor in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. These experiences served as the framework for her first novel, A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, published in 1943. After marrying George H.E. Smith, a fellow Brooklynite, she moved with him to Ann Arbor, Michigan, where he pursued a law degree at the University of Michigan. At this time, she gave birth to two girls and waited until they were in school so she could complete her higher education. Although Smith had not finished high school, the university allowed her to enroll in classes. There she honed her skills in journalism, literature, writing, and drama, winning a prestigious Hopwood Award. In 1938, she divorced and moved to Chapel Hill, North Carolina. There she married Joseph Jones in 1943, the same year in which A Tree Grows in Brooklyn was published. She teamed with George Abbott to write the book for the 1951 musical adaptation of the same name. Throughout her life, Smith worked as a dramatist, receiving many awards and fellowships, including the Rockefeller Fellowship and the Dramatist Guild Fellowship for her work in drama. So she's quite accomplished. And now we will move into the discussion questions. Feel free to pause whenever you would like to answer any in the book club setting or for yourself. The question 1, why is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn considered a classic? What gives it lasting power that we are reading it almost a century later? Francie's heritage is described as strong women of invisible steel on her mother's side and weak but talented on her father's side. By the end of the book, how are Francie and Neely both alike and different from their parents? Betty Smith paints the American dream as living better than your parents did. Is this still the American dream? How does the pursuit of a better life both help and hurt the characters in the novel, or people who also live today? Why are some people, like Francie, able to get out of poverty while others seem hopelessly trapped? What differentiates people like Francie from the others? Girls are treated like second-class citizens in this novel. How would this story be different if Francie was a boy? Would he have the same problems? Do young women face the same problems today as Francie had? Mama knows that education is the key to getting her children out of poverty. but she is also afraid that education might have some negative consequences. What are the negative consequences that she anticipates? There aren't clear good guys and bad guys in the novel. Papa, for example, is mostly absent, alcoholic father, but he loves Francie more than Mama does and has good intentions. What are other characters that are combinations of good and bad? Why do you think that the author did this? What might she be trying to say? In a particularly revealing chapter of A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, Francie's teacher dismisses her essays about everyday life among the poor as sordid. And indeed, many of the novel's characters seem to harbor a sense of shame about their poverty, but they also display a remarkable self-reliance. Katie, for example, says she would kill herself and her children for accepting charity. How and why have our society's perceptions of poverty changed, for better or worse, during the last 100 years? Francie observes more than once that women seem to hate other women. They stuck together for only one thing, to trample on some other woman. While men, even if they hate each other, stick together against the world. Is this an accurate appraisal of the way things are in the novel? The women in the Nolan-Romley clan exhibit most of the strength and, whenever humanly possible, control the family's destiny. In what ways does Francie continue this legacy? What might Francie's obsession with order, from systematically reading the books in the library from A to Z, to trying every flavor of ice cream soda, in turn say about her circumstances and her dreams? Although it is written in the third person, there can be a little argument that the narrative is largely from Francie's point of view. How would the book differ if it was told from Neely's perspective, or Mama's, or Papa's, or any of the main characters? How can modern readers reconcile the frequent anti-Semitism and anti-immigrant sentiments that characters espouse throughout the novel? Could it be argued that the main character of the book is not Francie, but in fact, Brooklyn itself? And now I'm going to tell you where I got the discussion questions, and I'll provide my own thoughts on the book. I got the discussion questions from Reading Group Guides, a website called Shmoop, and Booklist Queen. And now I will provide some of my thoughts on the book. I first read this book when I believe I was in 6th grade. I didn't understand all of the references. I didn't, completely probably understand, 1900s slum living in Brooklyn. But going back and now reading it, 25 some years later, 20 years later, I really had an appreciation for the book. It's always been one of my favorite books. I never understood why. I appreciate the way that Betty Smith writes, the way that she weaves her characters together. It's very character driven. There's a good plot just about a family trying to live in Brooklyn, trying to be happy, trying to find that American dream, living better than your parents. There were a lot of different things that were brought up, poverty, very much different symbols, and, the tree being the main symbol that I didn't understand when I was in 6th grade, but now I do. I very much appreciated the book. It's still one of my favorites, and it's one that I would like to share with anybody that kind of enjoys family stories, or pulling yourself up by your bootstraps kind of a story, because she definitely did that. But overall, yeah, I thought it was a great book. I enjoyed it. It is long, but it's worth a read. That's definitely for sure. All right, so that concludes today's book talk. Our next one will be in November, so tune in then. Thank you for joining us.